Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And in this week's episode, we're joined by special guest, Radman. How's it going, Radman?
Good, how's it going? Pleasure to be here and excited to talk some greatness.
Absolutely, yeah, we got a great chapter here. This week's episode will be covering chapter 403, Results. And then, of course, afterwards, we will be going through the community comments. And as always, if you'd like to join in on the community and have your comment read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version, either on the video or the community post. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. Additionally, if you'd like to know when a new episode is out, click the bell to enable notifications. And if you're an audio listener, make sure to rate and review. And also, now, you can follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod. It's the best @ I could get. I'm very sorry about that, but like everything that was sensible was already taken, so that's what we got. So you can now submit responses on there. We didn't get any this week, but I expect that's because none of our audio listeners know about the account yet. So check that out and come in next week. And as always, you can also still email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, we have provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments. Now, Radman, welcome to the show. You are our second guest ever, so it's an honor to have you here.
Yeah,
awesome.
For sure.
Awesome, yeah. I was surprised when I clicked on the channel and I watched a bit of the podcast, like when I first found you guys, that you were so new and had such a small subscriber count because it was such high production. So you guys are doing great here. Like I've watched I think I watched your first or second video, how you got into Hunter x Hunter. Okay. And yeah, it was when I commented on that video, I was wondering, like, because Hunter x Hunter in general is something that I feel like needs a lot of community discourse for an arc like this, because I feel like if you're not talking about the succession war often, you're going to need to reread it again. I feel like I've reread it 5 times and there's still so much I need to keep track of and so much going on. So I'm really happy to be part of this and talking about Hunter x Hunter.
Well, thank you so much. That's really nice to hear. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into just trying to get more people talking about this in general, especially leading up to the manga returning, obviously. So, yeah, that's
100%.
Very happy you connected with that. You know, should kind of share the similar goals in that regard as well, seems like.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So you discovered us through the charts then, I think, right?
Yeah.
Whenever
I got that notification, I think.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, so just whenever we have guests on, we want to get to know you as a Hunter x Hunter fan. So just to start off with a broad question, like how'd you get into it and what's your kind of journey with the series?
Hunter x Hunter. So I have a very vivid memory of this, actually. My older brother's like 7-8 years older than me, and he put me onto most anime growing up. And he actually put me onto Hunter x Hunter the day 2011 started. So I watched episode 1 the day it started.
Oh, wow.
And I honestly I remember that day, but I don't remember much of the rest of that experience because I was young. I'm 23, so at the time I was like 10 years old. So I don't remember much of the experience, but I do remember late Chimera Ants and like Gon vs. Pito, Netero vs. Meruem. The end of the arc, those episodes coming out, I do remember that kind of region of the series. And obviously around 2015, I got into the manga. That was around Hisoka vs. Chrollo and like early Succession War stuff, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think I got back into the series properly after like 4 or 5 years of not really watching or reading it. I did both a rewatch and a reread in about 2020. And that was just for anime manga as a whole. In that period of my life, I wasn't into like anime and manga generally. I wouldn't really have time, or I'd just be caught up in other things. I was only really keeping up with One Piece, just that with the 1 chapter a week, just because One Piece is just me and my brother. That's just one thing we've always both experienced and discussed over the years.
Right on. So yeah, that's surprising to hear considering your channel. You've cover a lot of anime and manga now. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like a recent thing more so.
Yeah. I'd say more 2019. I'd say around that region is when I properly got into covering a bunch, like watching and experiencing a lot of different stuff. In younger years, though, I did watch a lot from about, like, I'd say up until 2015-ish. I did still have a lot of things I'd experienced. AOT was one thing. AOT, not gonna lie as well, there might have been a region of 2018. Like, there are some other things, but Hunter x Hunter especially, I hadn't really touched for about 5 years, I'd say.
Okay, wow, that's so surprising to hear. Yeah. What year did you start your channel?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so about when I'd say about when I started the channel was about when I really got back into anime and manga again. It was solely One Piece for a period there.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You branched out. That's cool.
I'm still, like, hung up on the fact that, like, you were there for Hunter x Hunter, like, the day the first episode dropped. That must have been such a crazy experience, even if you don't really remember a whole lot of the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a bit special, yeah, 100%. Just to be able to say that is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you really, you kept up with it the whole way through, too.
Yeah, for 2011.
Wow. That's so cool.
It is hazy, but definitely. Probably not even weekly, but I do remember watching towards the end of the anime weekly.
Gotcha, yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so on that note, who's your favorite character in the series?
Probably a typical, honestly not typical. For most series it would be, but in the case of Hunter x Hunter, not so much, just because the cast is so crazy and you'll get different answers. But Gon, the main character, is number one. So generally with stories, I'm kind of a main character merchant. I kind of gravitate towards them. I do like. I feel like every great story, the protagonist, simply by virtue of having so much time on screen and being connected to so many ideas and different characters, a lot of the story is going to revolve around them, and a lot of other things will tie back into them. Like in reading Succession War, Gon is being elevated in different ways just through different interactions or connections he may have to characters on board, or just the ideas being presented. So Gon for me, but from there the list gets a lot more competitive. Like Gon is a comfortable favorite number one, but from there it gets harder to rank them.
Yeah, it's definitely really hard to pick favorites with this cast. Everybody's just so great.
I do like partake in lists and whatnot, and they change very frequently. So yeah, 100%.
I respect it though. I was just gonna say I respect the Gon pick though. That's definitely one of my favorites as well. Just for a lot of the same reasons that you listed, especially.
Your favorite is Kite, right? If I recall. Yeah. So Kite, that's a great pick.
Thank you.
I was surprised to hear that one. He isn't too high for me, as in like maybe just outside top 10, but really, really cool pick. I feel like Kite is a very slept on, underrated, brilliant character for what he does for the best arc. I feel like we all agree on that.
Yeah, and for Gon especially, just like how he propped him up in a lot of different ways. Yeah, it's just that character and that his exposure to me in general was just like something really special that I hold on to. That's the main reason why he's my favorite. But yeah, that's
so interesting to me as someone who experienced him through the anime as well. Like that happened to me with Kai after I read the manga, and he leaves such a strong impact with the first chapter, which the anime kind of rearranged. That's the effect Kai gives me as a manga reader. His reintroduction in Chimera, and it just feels like the story's entered a new stage. There's so much weight to that character, but the fact that happened with the anime for you as well is also really special. I think that's really good.
You left an impression on me, regardless of how the anime may have butchered his introduction.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome for real. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, do you have like a favorite character in the current arc?
Favorite character in the current arc? So I'll stick away. Let's say arc exclusive characters, people that have been introduced in this arc. I'd say Saradnik already, man. I'd say my guy Seri. It has to be. he's special. Insane
That's
character,
sure.
but in terms of stocks as well, I think Morena has one of the strongest introductions for any character I've ever seen.
Yes.
And Beyond is already very, very like exciting for me. As I just said, I'm a gun top one. So a character like Beyond, who I feel like just by virtue of being the son of a great hunter, will have a lot of overlap with Gon and some ideas, and that's one thing I'm really excited for. Like Jing in some ways is a huge enabler of Gon, but being a hunter and exploring in that, whereas Netero inhibited his son from going to the DC. So I feel like Togashi's gonna do something with that, and I'm excited to see how it goes back to number one Gon. But just in general, Beyond is a character I've got a lot of stocks in. It's hard though. There are so many. There are gods like Balsamico, who is in this chapter, of course, is another character who very like, there's so many characters. I want to say Rihan, I want to say
Yes.
Babi Mina. There's so many characters I've just had my eye on. Bill I really like.
Yeah.
There's a lot to pick from in this arc specifically. Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, it's tough. But the obvious picks is obviously like the ones who've had the most. So I'd say Saradnik. Saradnik has just been a consistent thing Togashi has just been cooking on all fronts for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, no kidding.
He'd probably be my pick too for Succession War specifically. He's fascinating.
What about you, Kaige?
I'm a Halkenburg guy, so obviously.
Oh yeah, I didn't. I didn't even get to mention Halkenburg. Halkenburg has been cooking.
Yes.
Awesome character.
Yeah, I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
So last question, because we already touched on your favorite arc is Chimera Ant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to find somebody who has a different answer to that. Maybe one day it'll happen.
That's gonna be hard. Honestly, let's hope these chapters keep on coming, because at this rate, I mean, this is already my number 2. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
I already have Succession War second. And I'd say if we're comparing the first 63 chapters of Succession War to the first 63 of Chimera Ant, Palace Invasion hadn't started yet. I'd say Succession War might take that, probably easily even.
Yeah.
But obviously it's such a weird thing to compare, because there's such different arcs tonally and just how they're being approached and structured. So it is a bit of an odd comparison, but for sure, Succession War can definitely take that for me. I've seen a lot of people say, nah, I don't know about that, but no, I definitely think it can.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I easily think this could overtake it.
There's potential for sure, and I'm keeping a very open mind to that possibility. Although I gotta admit, York New City still has a very special place in my heart in general.
Yeah,
so.
same here.
Yeah. I've got like, I love York New, of course. I love Hunter x Hunter as a whole from start to finish.
Yeah.
But my hot take is that York New wouldn't be top 3 for me. It might not even be top 4 for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have Election. It would be my third favorite, very comfortably, and then fourth could either be York New or Greed Island. I love them both for different reasons, but I ride or die for Greed Island. I really, really love that arc.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Actually, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So on that note, how about your favorite moment in the series?
Favorite moments in Hunter x Hunter? That's impossible.
It's hard.
I'll give you a favorite chapter. Favorite chapter.
That's good.
339, the final of the original anime content. So,
yes,
the one right after the Gonjin conversation, but obviously it starts with the quote, with the Detours quote, and then it goes into just pure visuals, no dialogue for the rest of the chapter, showing.
Yes.
Basically tying the bow on the story. It's basically an ending. If we're being real, Togashi like ended the story in a sense there, and then continued with. He ended Gon's story at least, and he framed it as a final chapter. If I read that in another story, it would feel. It feels like the final chapter in a lot of ways. So yeah, that would be favorite chapter, but I struggle. It's a moment technically as well, but if I have to pick a moment. Let me think. That's tough.
Yeah.
I won't say it's number 1, but one that immediately came to mind was just Netero's death. So I'll say that.
Yeah,
I'll say that as well. Not saying it's the favorite, but that came to mind immediately, so it does have that impact. So it's up there in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, I love your pick on favorite chapter. That's also another favorite of mine. Absolutely love that chapter.
Awesome. Anything that comes to mind for you guys for favorite chapter?
Oh man, that's so hard. I mean, immediately coming to mind is just the the finale of Gon versus Pito.
Okay.
For me, I just love that moment so much. It's a perfect chapter to me.
How would you compare it to the anime? Did you have a favorite among the two, or do you just love it both, or is it kind of relative for you?
I really love the anime, but I actually do think I like the manga version of it more, just because of how visceral the art is in that chapter.
It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
It is unreal. I'm with you on that. I do. It's really hard because that is also my favorite episode of the anime.
Oh yeah.
So it's tough, but overall, I do prefer the manga for the majority of the series, I'd say. But the anime obviously is one of the best out there as well. It's just Togashi's art is special.
Yeah,
but yeah,
especially in that chapter. Also, something I never got to talk about this on the show before, but something I've always liked about the manga compared to the anime for that in particular is Adult Gon's design in the manga. I like a lot more than the anime. He just feels like a more natural aging of the character compared to the anime, where he's kind of like chiseled in the face. But in the manga, he's still kind of got his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just something I've always noticed about it that I really like. How about you, Dylan?
So, picking a favorite chapter is a little bit weird for me, considering I kind of picked up right where the anime left off with reading.
True.
And I haven't really revisited very many chapters from before that. So kind of cheating away, but I'll just pick my favorite chapter from the Succession War so far. And this might be a bit of a weird one considering the entirety of the Phantom Troop backstory, but the one that sticks out to me immediately is just the whole chapter with I can't remember the number exactly, but the one with Kacho and Fugetsu's escape attempt.
Okay.
That was 387, I think.
I think it is. Not 387 was Saradnik, his awakening.
No, 397.
397. No, that's Phantom Troop. Saras's death? Oh, sorry, I thought you said Kacho's death. I heard you wrong. I was thinking of Kacho's death.
No, that's what I was saying. Kacho and Fugetsu's escape and where Kacho died.
Oh, wait. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I was getting very confused. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Kacho and Fugetsu. Yeah.
No, I was saying I know where you got confused. I was saying that this might be a bit of a hot take considering the Phantom Troop backstory being a lot of people's favorite parts. Yeah.
383 is Kacho's.
Yes,
that's what it is. Yeah.
380.
That chapter.
Hands. Yeah.
That chapter is what that left an impact on me, and I was like, oh man, Succession War is actually kind of cooking. That's where I first got that thought in my head. Really, before that, it was all kind of like I see potential. It's building up though, and then that moment hit, and it really made me think. And that was just a well executed chapter in general. So
really great chapter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I think we're almost ready to get into the chapter, but first let's just talk about the little bit of news we have this week. First of all, in the United States at least, I'm not actually sure about other territories, but both Hunter x Hunter movies are coming to Netflix on November 1st, so you can watch those fantastic films. I'm sure Tarantino's probably got that marked on his calendar, so he can learn how to make a good movie. And then after that, we got manga progress updates. Togashi has finished inking 422, and he's now working on 423, and he's up to page 3.
Yeah.
Still chugging along.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, and with that, I think we're ready to dive into this chapter.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Oof, let's get into this.
All right, everybody, this is chapter 403, Results. We are on day 11 at 6:45 a.m., and we see our boy Balls here pulling up to the courtroom. We are in the Tier 2 Justice Department Prosecution and Courthouse area entrance. And he's thinking to himself, Ninth Prince Halkenburg's personal guards aren't anywhere near the courtroom. His closest men are under surveillance in the VVIP area, and the others were separated and reassigned to Tier 3 and below. Halkenburg doesn't have anyone beside him to produce that powerful rumbling. And then Dylan, continue us.
So as he's, getting scanned by security and whatnot, entering the area, he continues to think to himself, I'll be close enough during cross-examination for 100% fatality. Halkenburg has no way to escape, as he's just imagining standing right next to Halkenburg, knowing he's about to kill him. Continues to think to himself, the judge and lawyers will be breathing normally, unaware of the risk of getting infected. Though they're far enough away for that to be less than 2%, it's still non-zero. But since the courtroom is closed to the public, the possibility of a pandemic is minimal. It can be suppressed by martial law if the need arises. So this entire plan, he's the very low risk in his mind, at least. Like, the worst that could happen is that martial law is declared, a pandemic doesn't happen, Halkenburg is dead, all's well that ends well.
It's funny because in the last episode we were talking about how high risk this would be, but he's pretty calm about this.
Oh yeah, very calm, very confident.
Incredibly.
As probably the first advisor to Prince Benjamin probably should be.
Yeah, true.
But we then get no more dialogue on these couple pages as we see Balls slowly walk down the hallway through the Justice Department or Justice Bureau somewhere on Tier 2. Walking down the hallway, and he sees two people standing at the end of the hallway, talking to each other, kind of blocking the hallway a little bit. Balls kind of pauses and feels something is off, it seems like. He then glances behind him and sees Vict standing there right at the other end of the hallway. As he exclaims to himself, Vict, recognizing, one of his men. And as we probably recall from the last couple chapters, Vict was the tackle shield guy, right? And it sounded like he got possessed potentially by one of Halkenburg's men.
Yeah, that was the implication, yeah.
So we see him standing at the end of the hallway there, just staring at Balls. And that's when we flip the page.
You're up, Radman.
Yep. We see Balls. He continues thinking to himself. He can hear a rumbling. He thinks to himself, rumbling? That's not possible. Halkenburg doesn't have any of his guards with him. And it shows us the two at the end of the hallway that looked like they were blocking it, putting some focus on them with rumbling coming from that direction. When he looks at Vict and he shouts, Vict, what happened to you? And then Vict starts making signs with his hands. Balls thinks to himself, military sign language, is he being prevented from talking? He's looking at him. There's more focus put onto the people at the end of that hallway as he deciphers the sign language, and it says, I figured out the secret to Halkenburg's ability. And then down that hallway, on the side where those two people were looking down, comes Halkenburg.
What a sight.
Yeah. That's a cool panel. I don't know. That's art right
really,
there.
really.
Literally.
The art throughout the chapter has been crazy, and this is one of the best for sure.
Also, special shout out to the background artists too, man. They look phenomenal. I don't know how much of that is Togashi, honestly. Some of it almost looks like it could be him, but it's hard to make it out, really.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the blank faces, though, to just contrast Halkenburg. It just,
Yes. So
absolutely.
Good. Oh, we read 2 pages at a time, yes. Yeah,
okay, sorry. There's someone typing away at a laptop, and Halkenburg thinks to himself, the position of Balsamoko, captain of the First Prince's Guard, is 11.9 meters away from them. Triangle leg depth 25 meters, width 11.9 meters. To angle the shot at 26 degrees, I need to step 60 centimeters forward. So we've got Halkenburg, obviously. He's an archer, he knows what he's doing. And he thinks to himself, the boy who shoots the arrow, Grimmel the dissonance. Fire. And obviously...
So that's his ability name, I assume, we finally got.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And he fires the arrow in another amazing panel. And we don't see what it hits yet, but we can probably guess.
We can maybe guess.
And we then see Benjamin on the phone, who's saying the trial hasn't started yet. And someone on the phone. Do you guys know who this is, actually? Who he's talking to here?
I don't think we find out, actually.
Yeah. Actually,
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, well, he's talking to somebody, one of his men, I assume. He says, no, both sides requested a change to the start time. Both. For what reasons? The man on the phone says the plaintiff was unprepared due to equipment issues, but this was denied by the judge. The defendant himself was feeling ill, and this was accepted. It'll start when he gets better. Benjamin thinks to himself, what's going on? Equipment issues imply the mission wasn't executed? No, Halkenburg's ability went off first. The only reasonable conclusion is that it was directed at Balsamilko. If Balsa was the one attacked, also Balsa, new nickname drop.
Yeah, wow.
Was the one attacked, why did Halkenburg fall ill? How was he able to use the ability by himself anyway? That's impossible. Did they get to each other? Balsa noticed his ability and charged at him to spray him with TSK-17. But it's too early for the symptoms from TSK-17. There must be another reason. He says out loud now to the man on the phone, says, tell me more about Halkenburg's condition. Guy on the phone says he suddenly felt sick and collapsed on the spot. He's resting in sick bay in stable condition. Benjamin asks, was anyone with him? Yes, 10 or so of his supporters who went to his aid. A few are still with him and tending to him. Benjamin thinks, so his supporters assisted in his ability. With enough loyalty, it doesn't matter what organization they belong to. And then someone on the phone, I guess it's still the same guy, says, oh, First Prince Benjamin, the captain is here. He wants to talk to you. Hold on. Benjamin thinks to himself, this has to be a trap. Halkenburg's illness is fake. The captain was attacked and is not talking of his own volition. That means this is a coercive manipulation ability. When it happened to Shikaku, Balls said manipulation is first come, first served. Perhaps between individuals, but it doesn't apply against powerful nen formed by a unified group working collectively. What will the manipulated captain have up his sleeve? And then Balls on the phone says, Your Highness, this is Balsamilko. Benjamin says, yes, what happened? He thinks to himself, let's see what you come up with.
So, very hesitant to believe that anything truthful is coming out of Balsa right now. Yeah. Which is fair. This Halkenburg is a monster of a thing to tackle. Benjamin's very aware of that. So
yeah.
Moving on to the next set of pages, though, we see Balls explaining himself. He says, I haven't executed my mission yet. Trouble on Halkenburg's side, and the trial was postponed. Did you notice the rumbling earlier? Benjamin replies, of course. Balls continues to explain, a nen arrow was fired at me, but it missed. Halkenburg lost consciousness on the spot. Perhaps because he used his ability multiple times over a short period, or due to the strain of having civilians help instead of his personal guards. Benjamin replies, I see. Thinks to himself, a plausible explanation, but he's obviously faking his illness to postpone the trial. Replies to Balls again, so there's no way to know when the trial will resume. Thinks to himself, again, Balsamilko, if you try to return here without executing your mission, I will consider it a coup d'etat in collusion with Halkenburg. I will institute martial law and purge both of you. He is not taking any risks here.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Balls are getting fiery.
Yeah, he's getting fiery for sure.
Yeah.
He's not happy. Balls replies, no, but this is actually our chance. I would like permission to go see Halkenburg. A few of his supporters will probably be by his side. Is that all right with you? Benjamin thinks to himself, he's going to do the deed in sickbay, or pretend to, and use the time to find an opportunity to entrap me? So, still being skeptical, he says, you make the call. I only want results. Balls then says, I understand. I'm also aware that since Halkenburg's ability has been used, it puts me under suspicion. Ergo, I will not return until I can demonstrate that my mission has been completed. Please let my men know. I will get the results you want within the day. And as a reminder, it's we're now on day 11, Wednesday, 7:50 a.m., which it seems to imply it's the day after, I believe, or like it's within the day still of
No, this is before the meeting we saw last chapter with Fugetsu and Benjamin. This is before the meeting. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we kind of go back to this time period right before Fugetsu would deliver the letter to Benjamin, where Butch comes up to him and comes up to Benjamin saying, "Sir." He replies, "Butch." He said, "Could he be telling the truth?" Thinking about Balls, I'm assuming. And he's saying, "No. He's suspect until I confirm his mission is completed. It could all be a trap to bait us into inaction." Benjamin screams out, "That rumbling was an attack on Balsamilko. Until we find out the truth of the matter, we are on red alert. If Balsamilko leaves the Justice Bureau without notifying us, I will declare martial law. Let tiers 2 and 3 know at once." Butch replies, "Yes, sir." He's a yes man. And then, man, I wasn't prepared to read this, to name this character.
Yeah, I should have looked. Hold.
All right, holding. I will read his dialogue.
He might not be named, actually. I don't see his face. That might be a new guy.
Okay, new Benjamin guard just dropped. Unnamed. "Your Highness, an official from the Justice Department and 11th Prince Fugetsu have something to personally give you." Benjamin thinks to himself. He's a thinker, this chapter, is what I'm kind of remembering now. He says, "The senior officials in the Justice Department are people I'll need to work with during my reign once I'm king. It wouldn't hurt to foster a good relationship, to share information." And he says, "Let them through." So this is all still kind of selfishness, even on his part, to be like courteous, as we're seeing now. This is for his own guilt. Yeah,
love the wording of "once I'm king." It's that confidence.
100%. Yeah. He's stressing though, which is what's really interesting about the next scene. Because last chapter we saw him, and I remember reading the chapter and thinking he's uncharacteristically chill. He was really just chilling last chapter, and to know that he was stressing so much just before it with this whole situation with Bulls just makes that even more interesting. But of course he is doing this for his own personal gain, so he's just putting up that kind of demeanor. But 100% we move into this, and there's something's ringing. It seems like there's a phone call between two people in a room 01, and it's Unma in her room, and she's on the phone. And there's, "Yes, that's right. No need to worry about that. Yes, that's fine. That sounds like the kind of choice you would make. I support it. I'm sorry I won't be able to see you at the banquet." Who could she be talking to? "But I'm proud of you, Halkenburg, my dear son." So we've got a bombshell dropped here. We've got a massive bombshell dropped here. And the popular theory from the previous chapters has been confirmed, that Unma is Halkenburg's mother. The similar noses were a dead giveaway after all.
That was completely intentional. Crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And it is interesting. We just had that introduced last chapter, and it's been immediately paid off. But we continue on, and we see the letter. And if I remember correctly, so this is the letter from last chapter that Kaige and Fugetsu gave to Benjamin, that obviously Kaige forged. And it says, "The first queen is Halkenburg's real mother." Well, assuming from the last page, even though Kaige forged it, it's still true. The first queen is Halkenburg's real mother. Everyone stays quiet out of fear of being disrespectful. But being dead, I can say anything. The first queen asked a secret favor of the second queen to protect Halkenburg from assassination plots from his older siblings by changing his order in line to the throne. That is the prevailing theory on international websites. The order has little meaning now that the succession battle has begun, but if the rumors are true, there is a big problem. The first queen might be using her power to pull the strings for Halkenburg. There are still things I can say and do because I am dead. Please look after Fugetsu. So this is Kacho's letter, well, obviously forged by Kaige, but still, this is that's the POV that Benjamin is being fed. And he reads it, and he thinks to himself, rumors that can be found online. Nothing shocking. There are still, and then he goes, an ordinary letter, nothing political or worth showing you. But then he thinks to himself, 10th Prince Kacho was smart, and surely she schemed for her sister. But this is probably a bluff. It relies on speculation. Even if there are further letters or evidence, a mere girl couldn't have the political power to obtain more information than I do. And then get onto Kaige and get to dig into his head for a second, and he's thinking to himself, watching Benjamin, saying, I would have liked to shake him up more. I would have liked to shake him up more with information pertaining to the succession or bearing on Benjamin himself, but it would backfire if he started to suspect that the Justice Department was behind it. This was worth it to find out that his declaring martial law is becoming more likely every minute. So that's that triggers waiting to be pulled.
Indeed.
A lot of mind games happening.
Yeah, no kidding.
For sure.
But yeah, just crazy bombshell though with First Queen being Halkenburg's mother.
Oh yeah.
That's absolutely. Yeah. There's an interesting detail on that page I've seen discussed. It looks like there's a crib in the background, a baby crib, which is very interesting next to the maid.
Yeah. Oh wow, 100%. Yeah, it's got like the little thing above it, like the baby thing. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, no clue. So, yeah, but that's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. How about that? Okay, that's a good detail.
Huh, man, there's more to Unma than meets the eye, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's got us thinking, like, what? How did that happen? How did Dwazul agree to that, to mother Halkenburg's son? So was there a trade? Is one of Unma's children Dwazul's?
Could be.
Maybe.
Certainly adding more intrigue to Dwazul. We already had plenty, so expecting something to come to a head there.
This also just adds more layers to just like the whole like Benjamin Halkenburg confrontation thing in general as well, because like they're actually just like blood brothers then.
They're full brothers. Yeah,
that's very crazy thing, and that might also tie into Seri later on as well, potentially. Like
for sure, like the three I'd say, not MVPs of the war per se, but like MVPs of screen time among the princes so far are all related. Are their full brothers? Well, they all have the same mother. At least the father is still up in the air, thanks to Beyond. But those three, Seri, Benjamin, and Halkenburg, they've kind of been the main frontliners in terms of like for the audience in this war so far.
100%. So we now move into other princes reacting to the notes. So we see Zhonglei, Camilla. It's nice to know that she got one, even in her cell. Actually, I thought that was a good thing to point out there. Tubepa and Tyson are all reading their notes too. Pretty much the same reactions across the board, except Tyson's looking a little more concerned. And then we see Melody, who's saying the one who rejected the letter were the fourth and the ones who rejected the letter were the fourth and the 13th princes, and the 9th is under medical treatment. Kacho, sorry, I forgot her name for a second. Kacho says, I really wanted 4th Prince Seri to read it. Did he decline? And Kaiser says, you're making him sound nice, but he flat out told us to toss it. That sounds like him.
Yeah.
Kacho says, well, if even one of them becomes interested in my tip-off, it's a windfall. They might come to rely on Getty for information. Melody says, but now the hard part. Kaiser says, just the fact that we were able to mark 7th Prince Luzerus' room makes this operation a success. Like Melody would probably say, but now the hard part after that, my bad. And then Kacho says, yeah. As we see, who is that in the bed? That's Fugetsu. Man, she is looking bad.
Not good.
Not good at all.
Melody says, thanks to Basho, the evil spirits stay away even when she's by herself. Let her sleep and get some rest. We need her to recover her strength. Kacho says, I'm all for that. It would be the worst if she can't use her ability at a critical moment. Kaiser says, we should get some rest too. Kacho says, we do this tomorrow night. Cool. Another time to look forward to.
Yeah, things are happening very soon, very fast. That's really yeah.
And
things are definitely accelerating.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very exciting. Cut back to room 1014 and see Kurapika talking to Oito. It says, actually, I think this is Oito talking. Death is the punishment that awaits anyone who tries to leave the ship during the succession. Unfortunately, the ship itself is the urn for the worm toxin. So the princes must continue until only one is left alive. Karapika says, true, powerful Nen envelops the ship, creating a condition that prevents escape. This makes it seem as if nothing but death is allowed. But, on the contrary, I think there's hope instead. And this surprises Uito.
It surprises me too, seeing Karapika's so hopeful.
I know,
right? That's exciting. Yeah. I'm very excited to see where this conversation goes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't learn too much else, though, as we flip the page to Karapika saying, Your Majesty, there's something I need permission for to protect Prince Wobble and the other young princes. Uito asks, but what? And we cut away, and we don't find out. that is to be decided. We then cut to Zhonglei's room, though, in 1003, and seeing all kinds of different coins on the table with ominous aura surrounding them. As Zhonglei is explaining, I currently have 7 coins that the Guardian Spirit Beast produced, and there are 3 I gave to others. The issue is, the value of one of the coins changed from 1 to 10 today. The bigger problem is we have no idea what any of this is. I would like your opinions, as he has all of his guards rounded up to voice their thoughts about that. I find it really funny just how complicated Zhonglei's is just on the basis, or just nobody has any idea how it works right now.
Yeah,
all speculation.
It's hilarious. I love how the words are bolded. It just makes it. It just makes it.
No idea.
I can imagine the voice acting for this.
Yeah.
It's just he's stressing. Yeah. It's cool. I wonder how this works. In another 10 days, is it going to be 100?
Yeah.
How exactly is it?
Yeah.
I mean, they go on to. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, I was just about to say we're actually gonna get some opinions on what may happen. As one, I don't remember any of these guys.
None of
names.
these are named. This is the guard captain, though. Actually, this first guy.
Okay, so
just don't know his name.
Gotcha. So this the guard captain then states 1 coin gets produced a day, so there are 10 in 10 days. We can hypothesize that the coins change after 10 days. Zhonglei says yes. So we'll mark the higher value coin with the date 10 days ago, and each new coin from now on will be marked with its production date. Then we can verify if all this is true in 10 days at the latest. Anything else? Then we get some unnamed guards kind of speaking their opinions on the matter. One saying, we'll need to follow up on the coins you gave away. Zhonglei says, yes, simply. More guards chime in saying, it gives added value to those who hold one, or maybe it represents parameters related to the owner's growth. One other guard says, maybe we should simply use them as money that increases in value. Another one chimes in saying, if the coin's value increases in order of magnitude every 10 days, the 10 coin will be worth 10,000 in 1 month. Zhonglei says, great, so you can cast Hocus Pocus in 630 days. Sir, never mind, he says.
He's over this shit.
Yeah, he does. He is not. Yeah. He thinks to himself, these are all mediocre ideas I've thought of already. These men utterly lack the knowledge or experience to make conjectures on Nen abilities. He has no faith in his guards whatsoever here. So to that end, he then shouts out, call room 1014. Thinking to himself, information on Nen that could affect the battle for the throne. My guardian spirit beast's ability and its effects. I need Karapika to get through this. So... He's
First to Bepa, now Zhonglei.
Yeah, Karapika, please save me. Please save me. But, yeah, that's all we see of Zhonglei for now.
Yeah, and moving on and turning the page, we cut to what looks like the Justice Bureau to me. There's some steps.
Yeah.
And we see Steiner talking to Kaige. So we've got 2 of the Justice Bureau members. Well, Steiner's a bit more than that, but...
Yeah.
And one of them, I think that's Kaige, says, it's all right. We received notification from Halkenburg about the mass syncope episodes. And we see Halkenburg speaking, and this is probably the notification. They may experience effects similar to mass hypnosis after meeting me, but don't be alarmed. The joy of basking in my presence combined with the sudden release of anxiety from the anticipation will do that to some people. They'll recover quickly. And Kaige says, that one? And Steiner says, yes. We did get a report that a dozen or so supporters who met with the prince simultaneously passed out in the waiting room. Like he said, they recovered and went about their business. Actually, there's something else concerning. One of the staff who was there during the visitation passed out with the same symptoms, but at a different time and place. And then Kaige responds, shocked. That can't be explained by coincidence, he thinks to himself. He verbalizes, it wasn't a coincidence? Where's the staff member now? He continues to think to himself, I could try telling them our situation in order to find out what Halkenburg is trying to do and form an alliance. Steiner responds, he's standing by in his quarters, ostensibly for observation. Alright, I'll do an interview just in case. Tell me his name and room number. Wario Bay, room E6. Kaige thinks to himself, I just don't know what Halkenburg would think of my actions, considering he likes to be fair and upstanding. It's too risky to meet Halkenburg in person when his ability is unknown. I'll find out the truth through Wario. And then we turn the page and we meet this new character, Wario, the person who passed out with the same symptoms as Halkenburg at a different time and place. Tell me what really happened, Wario. You can rest assured, here you will never be censured because of your belief. We know there have been mysterious abilities used in the succession battle. 10th Prince Kacho used theirs to try and escape the ship and lost their life. It seems this ship is covered by a barrier and the king has something to do with it. I don't waste time on vague nonsense. Supernatural abilities do exist and the princes are using them as weapons. I support 9th Prince Halkenburg, separate from my duties as Justice Department Deputy Chief Prosecutor. As long as 11th Prince Fugetsu's safety can be assured, that is. What's that? And Wario shows a mark on his hand. He says, a mark I received from the prince. 9th Prince Halkenburg told me to tell you everything if you brought up the topic of Nen abilities yourself. He anticipated I would come to see you, Kaige responds. Wario says, yes, you would obviously connect the dots for the mass fainting, and if you don't come see him, it's proof you're wary of him, and that means you know of the existence of Nen. And Kaige responds, how astute. Wario then says, 9th Prince Halkenburg is going to die soon. So,
oh man, that's ominous.
We'll see about that.
That's interesting.
It sure is. We flip the page and see Benjamin back on the phone saying, are you sure? And Balls saying, yes, the mission has been completed. As planned, I will deliver results to you tonight. And to the audience, it is revealed that that is indeed Halkenburg in Ball's body. Huge.
Oh my god.
Man, that's crazy.
I don't know if Benjamin's going to be expecting this, man. I'm a little scared for him.
We'll see. This is going to be wild. I can say that much at least. I don't even know how this is going to play out. I can only imagine.
Woo. Very, very exciting stuff.
Yeah. And then we see a little thing here of Steiner walking up to Halkenburg's real body in the bed. And then back to Oito and Kurapika. Oito is saying, you want to go public with the letter? And Kurapika says, yes. The second round of the Nen workshop will begin tomorrow. Like last time, attendance will be up to the princes, and I will let them know I will be making the letter public then. Not my letter, but the letter addressed to you, of course. So there's two separate letters, I guess.
Yeah, that's a reveal we didn't know about.
Yeah. 3 reasons. Oh, well, Oito says, if you need to, but why? And he says 3 reasons. First, to avoid unnecessary suspicion. The letters to the higher-ranked princes expose their scandals and crimes. If they get nervous that the lower-ranked princes hold their secrets, it might accelerate the conflict. Second, I'm hoping making 10th Prince Kacho's wishes known would put a damper on the succession battle. And 3, by advertising the fact we can expect some kind of contact from higher-ranked princes, we may come up empty-handed. Depending on who comes knocking and for what, we can use postponing or canceling the letter reveal as a bargaining chip. And we see them leaving the room. So,
we
actually, they're going
see
into 10:03, so this would be Jean Lay's. Yeah, so
yeah.
took his call. Okay, so that's interesting place to leave off.
Yeah,
that actually cutting through scenes though. I'm guessing pretty quickly there, going into 10:03.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what we'll pick up from on next chapter as well. Just
you never know, but hopefully.
Yeah.
For all we know, we could be going back down to like the Mafia Wars next chapter. Who knows, Mr. Gosh?
Oh man, yeah.
Like anything, we could go. Who knows? See who Beyond's going to talk to.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, but there's still that mystery. Yeah. Oh man.
But, add that to the pile.
Yeah. Great chapter though. This was a fantastic read.
Really good chapter.
Yes, yeah. I really liked this chapter, especially being a Halkenburg fan. Big moves.
Sucks.
He's always making moves.
It's looking more and more likely he's going to get a prince kill of some kind, whether it's Benjamin or not. But I don't know. That's going to be so weird to see, man. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to predict right now. I can't even really wager much of a guess, to be honest. But I'm excited.
Trying to theorize where things will go is a tall order.
Very hard.
It's tough. I've always thought, Benjamin, I think I could see him lasting in the Succession War for a long time, but he could actually end up dying in the next few chapters and being the first big death to really accelerate things rapidly and change the entire dynamics of the war. So it could go in any direction at this point.
That'd be such an exciting thing to me also, just for like, if you got rid of Benjamin this early in the Succession contest and just get rid of the whole like military presence altogether, essentially, by doing that really changes the dynamics of how all the princes would navigate this contest.
Changes the identity of the arc so far.
Yeah.
He's literally been, he's got his hands absolutely everywhere on the ship.
Everywhere.
On tier 1. And he's like basically the favorite. If everyone's betting, everyone on the ship, they think of him as the one most likely to win. So yeah, that would it would be shocking. It's like the person you'd expect to win most dying first. Well, not first, but first significant death, I'd say. I'd say Kaige wasn't anybody's favorite, and obviously Saleh and Momose as well. But I don't know. It could be the opposite. Maybe Halkenburg dies in a few chapters. That's the thing.
Yeah, we don't know.
Either way, it would be a huge development, but Benjamin dying would definitely change up a hell of a lot more.
Yeah,
that way. And that honestly is a very Togashi-like curveball. I could totally see it happening.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, just kind of general thoughts on this episode. I'll let's go in order. I guess I'll just start with you, Radman. What do you think of the chapter overall?
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I love how last chapter we got introduced to this idea of Halkenburg's, being like illegitimate child, or not illegitimate as a prince, but maybe not the right mother or something. And the next chapter this week we get it answered and we get confirmation on it. It seems that Unma is his mother. I know a lot of people, like just a few days ago, were theorizing that he could maybe be a Beyond kid, and that could be a huge curveball. I'm really glad that wasn't the case, because I don't think it would really suit him at all. I think he's got something else going on. But this is really interesting, and it's got me interested in the Seri dynamic, because now he's Seri's full brother, and we also know that Seri is he's the only prince that Seri has any semblance of respect for. So I wonder if that could end up going sour if he learns about that, or the opposite even, or where that goes. That's a really interesting hook to me. But overall, it was an awesome chapter. It's a lot going on. There's so many things in motion right now. Every chapter's really good because everything in motion is entertaining, but it's just it's hard just not wanting to see what comes next, because there's seems to be a lot of great payoff just around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many exciting developments. That's every chapter, honestly. I could say that about everyone that's happened so far. What a time. All right, how about you, Dylan? What do you think?
A lot of similar sentiments from me. This was a fantastic read, and just learning more and more about Halkenburg and just seeing him kind of continue to like raise his stocks and just how like cunning and like, just like, I don't know. He's just crazy smart, and it's so cool to just like see him like just like do all of this stuff. He's so interesting, and it's the whole family dynamic being changed now from like being revealed that he's Unma's son, and just like they kind of just changes how you perceive this entire like conflict going down in general, and I really like that. I really like the layers that is being added to not only just Halkenburg's character, but just his relationship with some of the other princes as a whole, as well. It's really making me appreciate Halkenburg's character more than maybe I did before.
Good.
Yeah, good, for sure. But then, also just having the other little things thrown into this chapter to kind of, chew on for a bit as well, like Zhonglei's kind of dilemma of like deciphering his Nen ability is really interesting, or his Nen Beast specifically, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of funny thinking on it now, where like everyone else has already been revealed to us through like the narrator, or like it was pretty simple to figure out like some of their abilities. But Zhonglei, it's just like there's no idea. We have no clue as readers or anybody within the ship, and that's a fun little detail to chew on that I really
him and Benjamin chapter. Also we don't know anything about his.
That's true, yeah. But it hasn't also been really I don't know. We haven't really had like a good way to showcase what his Nen Beast could even be. But also, it's
I'd say with Zhonglei, it's like it's framed as this active mystery that it's Togashi's given it a lot of screen time that it's leading up to something big. Whereas with Benjamin, it could, like you said, it just could be because we haven't had the opportunity for it.
Right.
And Benjamin is also offset by the fact that he has a Nen ability already inherently.
Yeah.
So like,
Mm-hmm.
he already has kind of a sort of lethalness to him. But yeah, just a lot of interesting developments this chapter, and just like the past couple chapters, I really am just left wanting more, and I can't wait to see the next one and see how this is followed up on further.
For sure.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you guys. I can't wait to see what happens next. Sucks we gotta wait.
It really does.
We've been waiting.
Yeah.
At least
we're
not on
better than waiting years.
At least we're not on a 3-week break like One Piece right now.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Stuff. Well, then I think we're about ready to see what you guys all had to say about it.
Yeah, I am.
Quickly before that, I do want to quickly say the art in this chapter was beautiful.
Yes.
That balsa scene at the start with Vic,
Mm-hmm.
I love the paneling there. I'm looking forward for the volume scans to drop because there's so much detail here. Obviously, the scans we have with magazine scans, they're not as high resolution, but you can tell, especially that one page where, it just builds up and he's in the middle of the hallway. He looks down and he sees the two people, looks back and sees Vic. The art there is really, really good.
That's incredible.
And the Halkenburg panels as well when he shoots off the... It looks like he's pulling a gun trigger.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, great stuff.
Amazing stuff. All right, we ready to move into community comments then?
Yeah. I'm ready whenever.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so we asked for your guys' thoughts on the chapter this morning. On the YouTube community post, and you guys definitely came through. There's a lot of stuff to chew on here, so let's not waste any time then. Let's go ahead and dive into it. We got a first comment from Yasser saying, near the end of the chapter, Kurapika mentions that he's going to start the second round of classes the next day. In chapter 389, the second Prince's Guard, Sarahel, says that she will go to the next round of Nen classes and kill herself next to Wobble to activate the curse on her. Another plot thread to keep in mind for these upcoming chapters. I completely forgot about that. That is wild.
Yep, Camilla's crew that have not started getting to work.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a scary thing to think about. Whew.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
I don't really have much else to say about that. Just like, oh man, I'm anticipating it now.
Good thing to keep in mind for sure, because that's happening a lot sooner than I thought.
Yeah, great reminder for sure.
Yeah. Next up is from Starkillen, who says, another great chapter. Halkenburg showed everyone once again why he's a front runner for the succession contest. and Benjamin might not be as hopeless without Captain Might as we thought. Oh, that is Ball's last name, huh? I'm not used to seeing him referred to as that. He says, honestly, I was really impressed by how what seemed like a mistake from Benjamin in the prior chapter, slipping up in front of Kaiser, was a small scheme from him. But while losing Captain Might may not be too bad, his mother showing more support for Halkenburg might really hurt him. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, that was one thing I forgot to address with the Unma stuff that I really liked, was just the fact that she's rooting for Halkenburg as mother of first Prince Benjamin, that's a very interesting development.
Yeah, that is super. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't talk about that. Yeah, that is pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah. Edwards. Hey, nice to have Fiji here. That's the one I get. That's a cool coincidence.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, nice to be here. What a curveball of a chapter. Absolutely, it's always a treat to be shown one side one chapter, then the other side the next. The added layering for Benny reading the letter was especially nice this time. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Like the fact that last chapter was basically the same time frame as this chapter, just from different perspectives of the ship, is super cool. It's just one of those things. I really want to try and compile this arc chronologically and see how that would read, because that must be like a cool experience. It might be tough with the art in places, but reading it like chronologically must be it must be fun.
For sure.
Continuing with the comment, and what a great setup we have now for several payoffs in what should be quick succession for sure. The melody plan, the next Nen classes, Danjin proving himself to Seri, the meet with Zhang Lei about his coins, the meet with Tubepa for the alliance, and finally Halkenburg dying. By the way, this time Halkenburg's arrow made his soul go into the victim, Balza. Last time it was stated his follower's soul would enter the victim. Wonder what secrets Halkenburg has uncovered about his ability. That is true, yeah. That is, we've seen a new extent to his power. What a time to be following the story. We've been waiting for a Halkenburg follow-up since 2018, and we got it, man. 6 years later, you love to see it.
You did not forget.
Indeed.
It's... Oh, man. I didn't even think about the fact that, using his own soul was not something that was really given to us beforehand. Like, it's nice to know that was figured out by Halkenburg to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this comment for laying out all of the things we have going on here. It helps to put into perspective just what all is going on. I honestly think there's even more here that you didn't mention.
Yeah, there is plenty, like there's the beyond message. I mean, that could easily be shelved though for like a while, because that plot line just started.
Right.
But at the same time, it might just be next chapter. We had Halkenburg last chapter, the letter, and this chapter we find out it could be quick, just because it might be a small meeting. It might not be a huge like plot line. It could just be Beyond has to meet someone to talk about something. So we don't know where there's just. It's one of those arcs where next chapter, like I think Dylan said earlier, we might be back in the lower tiers, seeing the Mafia War. So yeah.
That would be crazy. That would be the biggest curveball to me. I am not expecting to get any updates on that for a a little bit.
Yeah, same here, but...
Could happen.
They could, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So... Moving on to the next comment. This is kind of a long username. I'm not even going to attempt it. Geiju.
Geijutsu Wabaku Hatsuda.
Hatsuda, yeah.
Geijutsu. Thank you for the comment. Says, Wario says that Halkenburg will die soon. And since he is Halkenburg's ally, proven by the mark on his hand, I tend to believe him. So I think Halkenburg's body will be dead, and Halkenburg will officially be out of the succession war. But he will possess another prince to try and win as them.
Whoa.
That is a wild one. That would be so awesome, though. That'd be crazy.
What if it's Benjamin?
It could be. Maybe that's his plan. Yeah, maybe he doesn't intend to kill Benjamin, more so as just he is Benjamin.
Oh, man, that would be wild.
Yeah. That's a crazy one to think about.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. The comment continues saying, on page 7, the person that Benjamin is talking to on the phone, who is it? If it's a neutral party, then they are not lying. They say that Halkenburg is resting in stable condition. So he is in stable condition after shooting the arrow and possessing Balsamilko. However, later Halkenburg in Balsamilko's body says to Benjamin that he will bring proof that Halkenburg is dead, which means that he will not be in stable condition anymore. So it seems like something more needs to happen to Halkenburg's body than just being unconscious due to firing an arrow. The crowd around his bed also suggests that his condition worsened compared to before. And then ends it saying, we finally see Camilla again. I think the last we saw her on page was chapter 389. She hasn't had much of a role since trying to shoot Benjamin, but Sarah Hell will be at Kurapika's next Nen class. So,
yeah, I expect that to be kind of our way to get Camilla back in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was nice to see her again. It's been a while.
Yeah, very interesting theory, though, about Halkenburg, though. That's, oh, man.
Now, something I do want to point out about that, would that count as an attack? Because then Halkenburg would just die if he did that.
You're right, yeah.
And I mean, there's like several loopholes you could bring in there. Like, he's not in his own body. Does it still count as him? Like, I don't know. That's a weird one to think about.
Possession is such a weird thing to think about in terms of not only Nen, but just Hunter x Hunter in general. There's a lot of intricate rules with that.
Indeed, yeah. Okay, this is me 2014. Says, saw a theory that Halkenburg will be born again in his own body like Jesus. Wow. Okay. See the panel. Halkenburg has 12 followers like Jesus. And after that, he's going to gain a lot more followers. Man, okay. I like it. That's a wild one.
That is a lot. Halkenburg's just crazy right now, man. There's so many things, so many theories about this man. Oh,
wow, that is something.
He's got that aura. To be fair, Togashi is particular with like numbers and stuff, but I don't know. 12 of them. Yeah, the guy just died. I do think the death stuff could go somewhere interesting with Nen in general, just because post-mortem Nen has been such a heavy thing throughout the arc. Obviously with Beyond Curse in the last few chapters, the have-nots, someone mentioned Sarah Hell in the last comment, so there is a lot with Nen, so I could see him dying and coming back in a sense, maybe if the possession allows for that in some way, or like the last theory said, getting into someone. But like being born again, like having a rebirth or something, it's not even out of the cards. It's like anything could happen with this dude.
Yeah. And you know what's also interesting is we never, his name's slipping me, but the first guy that got possessed, hold on, I want to get his name real quick.
Yeah, the one that it's not
Sumidori.
Sumidori, yeah.
Sumidori, we never followed up on whether or not he appeared back in his body or not after the possession. We still don't have an answer on what happened with him. So that's still a rule of the ability that we're not completely aware of at the moment.
Good call out.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, now you're next, Radman.
Okay. I love waffles. I love them too. I think the pieces are finally in place for another major turning point in the war to occur soon. I hope so too, and I agree. I feel like Benjamin saying that he could trust Balsa if he had proof that Halkenburg is dead is going to be his downfall. It is for sure. It's interesting because I was kind of impressed by Benjamin's like deductive thinking and reasoning in this chapter, but at the same time the conclusion he comes to may very well be his undoing. So I was like impressed by a guy who's setting up his own death. So like that's the level of intelligence we've got in this war, man.
No kidding.
But yeah, I think Halkenburg could use his ability to fake his death to get Benjamin to drop his guard and kill him. Yeah, definitely in the cards. I think it's about time to shake things up with such a major player dying. Benjamin probably has the most control over the whole succession war, and without him the tides will turn significantly. That's undeniable. But it would be crazy at the same time, and I do think Benjamin as a character has so much potential as like that the Kakin nationalist he is, and being the one of all the princes who actually cares about. I mean, Halkenburg does too, in a very different way. Like, but Benjamin is like the advocate of the succession war in a way, so him lasting for a long time could be interesting, but that being the reason why he goes out early could also be very cool. I feel like either way you take it, killing him in the next few chapters or keeping him for another 50 or however long this arc may be, both could work, so we just have to see which one he goes for. We're kind of in the middle here.
Yeah.
No clue where the story can go.
We're at the fork in the road.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I wonder who the soldiers would start taking orders from if Benjamin died. Maybe Camilla or Zhang Lei, since Camilla is detained. Maybe even Unma. That would be, if it's Unma, then that would mean Halkenburg. So if Halkenburg kills Benjamin here and gets his army, that would actually be so crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thought, because obviously we do have that seed of Unma rooting for Halkenburg. So that who
There's
knows?
A little bit of evidence for that. Maybe it would fall to her then, because that would explain why she'd be rooting for Halkenburg in that case.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Also, I have a random prediction that's not too related to this chapter specifically, but I think that it could happen soon. I think Tyson will die soon, not before completely winning over Uzunavi, maybe via Beyond's curse. However, her Nen beast will still persist and even get stronger as her followers carry on her will, which can play into the idea that cult leaders can become martyrs. Sorry, it's a bit long, just wanted to get all my thoughts out. That was really cool. Keep up the great work, beloved. Oh, that's obviously for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
you're in this video too. This will be for you.
100%.
Yeah, I also am of the opinion that Tyson maybe won't be next anymore because we have other things brewing, but I do think she is likely to die soon-ish, like in the near future. I just kind of get the vibe of that, and her Nen Beast persisting is interesting. There's really no evidence of that being possible at the moment, but never know.
I mean, we do know that there's like a specific like condition with like the book, right, that she gives out to people, something along those lines. I can't remember the specifics, but I like the idea of it just being kind of like a cult leader becoming a martyr kind of thing. That's an interesting perspective on where that could head. So,
absolutely, yeah.
I like that. All right, next comment from Leo 199_2 says Halkenburg is really that dude. He sure is.
Indeed.
Yeah. This chapter is like a nuke. It has a lot. So to not make this comment so long, I'll just say that Halkenburg after this chapter goes to the top of the list of the princes in all aspects.
Hell yeah.
I can't fault you for that line of thinking for sure. I'm starting to come to that conclusion as well. He says, this is the best chapter that we've had since 387 in terms of developments, revelations, and plot twists. After this chapter, I'm like, Sari who?
Wow, I wouldn't go that far, but...
Yeah, Halkenburg and Sari get or become aware of their abilities around the same time. But right now, Serenich is trying to master his ability to the fullest. But Halkenburg already mastered his and is already changing the whole game in the Black Whale with this 5D chess game / strategy. He masters his abilities to the point where he can shoot his own soul, use his allies to give information about target's location, and without seeing, shoot his arrows from walls and catch his target by surprise. And even though Theta and Salkov is trying to slow Sari's speed of learning, doesn't change the fact that he has Nen users helping him to learn. While Halkenburg alone, with his personal guards, with no Nen users to help him, learns about his ability and masters it faster than Sari. This shows who is the real genius and who is the most talented prince. And plus, he is the favorite son of the first queen, who also, after the king himself, is the most powerful person in the Kakian Empire. Halkenburg has become the top one prince after this chapter. First queen must have some of her soldiers infiltrating in Benjamin's personal soldiers to help Halkenburg. This meeting between him and Balz's body with Benjamin is probably to take Benjamin's body. Some soldiers that work for the first queen will betray Benjamin in this moment to help Halkenburg. I could see it going down that route, and this really does just put into perspective the it's kind of a parallel between Halkenburg and Serenich. This kind of like prodigy aspect to both of them, but like they're kind of exploring it in different ways. I like that.
The whole situation with Halkenburg's Nen ability is really interesting because he got it on this boat, and he's already learned so much about it. So it is comparable, and in some regards, you could say he's learning even faster than Serenich.
It's Zetsuvis is like a whole fully fledged out ability. But it's also nowhere near the same ceiling, so it's like it's an interesting dichotomy because Sari, Seri, in terms of demeanor, he's like so chill and lax. Halkenburg's going through a lot of stresses, which you think would also kind of accelerate the Nen as well, just based off how we've seen people grow under those situations. But Seri is he's nuts.
The ceiling for Seri is incredibly high with what you can do with it.
It's like he's on track to, like, I don't dabble in power scaling, but just in terms of his aura and like how he's been set up, he's like top 5 strongest threats we've met in the story in terms of his ceiling, at least.
Easily.
So yeah.
He's a monster, as so many people have put it now when interacting with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one comes from Edward SSS again, who says, Halkenburg is very interesting to me. He seemed like the most genuine and empathetic for a long time, but now he's openly working with Unma, who, presentation-wise, looks like an evil and horrid person. I'm beginning to suspect his relationship with Seri could be more honest than we anticipate. Also nice to have the continuity from, or the, I guess...
The continuity of Room 1013. So, like, how that's kind of...
that plot line, like the Kenpachi, Kurapika and Oito continuing.
Very similar characters, yeah.
Yeah, very, very. The brain rot is nuts.
Well, I think that's also for 1013. That's referencing Mariam's room, right? So, like, how like they didn't get a letter, or they didn't read the letter.
Oh, I meant to bring that up in the chapter. Yeah, that's definitely the reason they didn't get a letter, because they didn't even let them in.
Yeah.
At first I found it suspicious that they didn't take the letter, but of course the Nen ability would complicate them entering physically. Haha, yeah.
Bingo.
The things to remember this arc so much. Indeed. P.S. The page with Unma in the background in panel 3 under the I'm sorry I won't be able to see you in the banquet, blah, blah, blah. The maid there, so this is about the baby. What the hell is going on? LMAO. Yeah, I don't know. I just learned about this right now, so I have no idea. I will have to think about that more, because I really don't know. That is certainly an interesting thing there, though.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Edo Carver says, we saw that Benjamin's Nen Beast can temporarily exercise Nen curses. Do you think he'll be able to do the same thing with Halkenburg's soul to save Balsa? It's possible that he can be affected by the Spirit Beast now, since he's possessing someone and could technically fall outside the definition of prince. Interesting. Yeah, that is a technicality that I guess... I mean, it depends on... Well, you'd think that because the Succession Wars rules are Nen operated, that like if the Nen is still coming from Halkenburg, that he would qualify, but it doesn't have to be that way just because it operates on Nen. It's possible, for sure.
Definitely possible.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and the last part is obviously for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
great
much.
job with the podcast. Yeah, thank you so much. The other part I wanted to talk about with that is the, Benjamin's Nen Beast exercising, I guess, Halkenburg in this case. I feel like that is unlikely, but we have no idea how Benjamin's thing works. We just saw it last chapter do something that, did appear to be exercising Nen curses, but even that, we don't know if that's what happened necessarily. So, I don't know.
A lot of mystery.
We'll have to wait and see with his Nen Beast there.
I think that could be an interesting way to kind of postpone and or resolve that whole conflict with like Halkenburg obviously trying to kill Benjamin, right? Or do something with Benjamin. That'd be an interesting way to prolong that, and maybe even actually declare martial law, which would be a crazy thing at this point. That could also affect the lower tiers, like the Mafia Wars and whatnot. So
that's a whole other thing we didn't talk about, is the martial law deal. Like, that would... Killing him before he does that would be crazy, because I feel like him declaring martial law is imminent. Like, that has to happen, right? But I don't know. Maybe it won't.
Who's to say?
Nah. I don't know. I feel like, an anticlimax like that is not out of Togashi's repertoire, but
certainly not.
But at the same time, I feel like it happening and then him dying could be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It's just a we'll see.
Yeah.
Not really much more to say other than that. This next comment is directed to you, actually, Radman. Savora saying, I know how much Radman loves Steiner, so just want to say our Steiner stocks will pay off, brother.
Hey, yes sir. We got to see him in this chapter very briefly. Yeah, I like Steiner a lot.
When was the last time we saw Steiner in a chapter?
Before this, I think it was like maybe like 390-ish, or not, or maybe.
I think it was after that. I think he was around. He might have even been in 400 actually, briefly.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was 400 the last batch.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The end of last batch.
Yeah, maybe. I think so. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. But yeah, Steiner, he's got a bit of an understated role in the Succession War because his character seems to be more tied up with Dark Continent stuff. But at the same time, like the Justice Bureau in general have been kind of just out of nowhere exploded in importance in these last few chapters, so he could end up having a very cool role, which would be awesome. In the same way, Beyond just out of nowhere, like I honestly, I thought he might have something to do with this arc, but like I was 90% he's gonna be a non-factor, and he's just in the DC is where his storyline's at, and then boom, we get hit up with 401. Yeah,
what a curveball that was. I don't think any of us were expecting that.
No,
it's
not at all.
Crazy. He's been plotting for this war for decades. Yeah.
I can't wait to see more with him. Hopefully this batch we see a little bit more of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think we kind of, even if we don't see him, I think him getting some more stuff is imminent, just because the curses are all around and there's so many of them that things gotta start happening soon enough. We're 11 days into this voyage at this point. I feel like the numbers are gonna start whittling down, man.
Yeah,
there's gonna be some deaths.
It feels only like a matter of time now. Yeah, not very much time.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, next one comes from Thunderstorm, who says, the implications of this chapter that Halkenburg taking possession of Balls and killing off his original body will most likely backfire on him. While it's obviously a clever play to get close to Benjamin and attempt to assassinate or even take control of his body, Halkenburg isn't aware of Benjamin's inability to our knowledge. True. And if by killing off his original body with Ball's soul, he actually said balls. Hey, look at that, Dylan. We're infected.
Oh, yeah. Finally, the Balls propaganda.
The soul still trapped inside. That may alert Benjamin that Balls is a double or a fake if he inherits his Nen ability. Oh, yeah. That's a good call.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this Halkenburg Benjamin, do you think we're going to see them interact soon, or is it going to be prevented? Or
I hope. That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Man.
I feel like that is ending with someone in critical condition or dying. Like has to be like, it has to erupt and go into action at that point, right? Like, unless Halkenburg plays a long game and actually like successfully manipulates and lies to him, which would be nuts. But I don't know if he's got the composure even to do that. Like being in his presence, they both want to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
So
and we've already seen Benjamin is like fully ready to take out Balls if necessary.
Yeah.
So he probably wouldn't even hesitate. I also, it just popped in my head, but like, will this trial even happen? Like, we've been amping this up for so long, but it might not even happen at this rate. Like, things might come to a head before that even takes place.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprising.
No, yeah, not to me, anyways.
Yeah, certainly not.
Wow, yeah, a lot to think about there.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, is it me next?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I forgot the order.
No worries.
As a comment from Stone Breaker IO, Kurapika is probably 19 and has known Nen for about 2 years, but everyone on the boat correctly acknowledges that he is the guy they need to talk to for advice. Like, I love it. The last few chapters have shown, not even just the last few chapters, man. Like, the second he came to this ship, he's immediately just this random kid that is bodyguard of the weakest link prince, the baby, just coming and not stealing the show per se, but having so much influence and having such a reputation on the ship. Every prince knows his name. Every prince knows about him. So many bodyguards are being taught by him, and he's completely changed the dynamics of the war by making Nen this commodity and like this thing that everybody is competing over, like weapons. I mean, it is a weapon, yeah, but yeah, it's really cool. I love it for Kurapika. I know it's not news that Kurapika is him, but it's so funny that everyone else took mere days to realize this on a boat that has people with decades more experience with life, and then there are 200,000 people aboard the Black Whale, and Kurapika is in the limelight. You gotta love it for my boy.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's so cool to see the role he's playing in this arc.
He knows his stuff, and he's special, obviously, and that's apparent to everybody that interacts with him, and that just speaks to his character in general. I feel like.
I think like there's gonna be some great stuff down the line of this arc. Like, this is an arc about a royal family succession, and Kurapika is like, he's just based on everything we just spoke about and the comment outlined, and just how he's training people right now and has so much influence. He's got the qualities of a ruler. Like, he's got that. He's someone people would want to follow and like have rule them. So I feel like that dynamic could be explored more throughout the arc, and I think it will be. I mean, he's Mr. Emperor time, you know. Like, we'll see something from him throughout the arc, hopefully.
100%, yeah.
It's a very interesting contrast to obviously a lot of the other princes that are on the boat that are either very indifferent about the just like wanting to rule a country, or just like it's terrifying to even think about it. So like thinking about like specifically like Seri. So like obviously that conflict is brewing for like, you know, to eventually happen between the two, given Kurapika's goals. But like that's an interesting thing for me to think about. Kurapika is something that people would really want to lead, you know, or really want him to be a leader for. Whereas like Seri, everyone that interacts with him says, no, we don't want that guy. They don't give him power.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. I think it's like we're gonna see people lead, because like this isn't just like a war happening in a small area. This is a basically a country on the open ocean. There's everything here. And I think if things really erupt like Mizai is expecting, like things are being built up to, then there's a lot of people, especially in the lower tiers, they're gonna need protectors. They're gonna need not necessarily like they're gonna need shelter, or they're gonna need people to take care of them, basically. So I would love to see Kurapika in that position, because he's doing it on a big scale already with Oito and Wobu. But I could see. I really think just with the design of the Black Whale, even the fact that the war is happening on the top, like just that imagery kind of implies that the effects of this are going to trickle down and affect the lower tiers. So that excites me for seeing how the more righteous characters on the higher tiers, from like the Zodiacs to Kurapika, seeing how they're going to deal with this situation. Because at this point, like I wouldn't even be surprised if this ship sinks, like, and doesn't even reach the new continent. So at the very least, I think Mizai Storm is right, and things are going to erupt, and there's going to be chaos. I don't think there's any way this arc ends without it erupting and just being chaotic, like getting like it kind of has to happen, I feel like, and it's going to it's going in that direction. But we'll see for sure. I also think it's hard to say that for sure though, because there's so much going on in different areas that I could see things erupt somewhere while other places are not so crazy, because it's such a huge ship. It is like a country, that it doesn't have to be like destruction across all 5 tiers at once per se.
Yeah, and that's just an interesting thing to think about. Like Kurapika could be kind of like a saving grace to a lot of people in that regard, like potentially to be in a position like that. That's an interesting thing to think about as like a prospective thing.
100%.
Yeah, when I envision like that kind of coming to a head, I always kind of figure it would start from the bottom and kind of work its way further up the chain until maybe even reaching tier 1, because it would just get so chaotic. And unmanageable. Because I think, well, okay, I guess technically right now most of the chaos is kind of starting to brew on tier 3. Is that right?
Yeah, tier 3 is where we saw most of the mafia stuff.
Yeah. So I get maybe it wouldn't start from the very bottom then, but it could. I don't know, because there's also obviously mafia ties down there. Who is stationed down there? Which family is that? I think it's Cha'ar. Does that sound right?
Tier 3 is the High Li, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Tier 3 is High Li. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, did you ask tier 5?
Yeah, I asked tier 5.
Oh, tier 5, yeah, that is Shah. That is the Shah. That's Broccoli.
Yep,
Broccoli is Shah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not really cooking a whole lot right now, but they do have interesting things going on where I could see things ramping up down on tier 5, I guess. But
I was surprised when I forget his name quickly. The guy Nobunaga killed. I was surprised that went so quickly. Like I thought that could go for longer. Luini. Yep. I could have seen him lasting for a bit
Me
longer.
too.
But
he was hyped up too, like the Crescent Moon Killer had a whole title, but he did not last.
Did not last, man. He had to link up with one of the spiders. Well, 3 of them.
Yeah,
but I could see things happening there, I guess. The way we transitioned into that Phantom Troop backstory was really fascinating, like just Nobunaga thinking about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that he brought us into that might be a premonition or maybe something ominous surrounding him, like the fact that he's thinking about the past. Maybe not. Maybe that was just the way Togashi wanted to transition into it. But I could see something happening on tier 5, to be fair. But yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Who is even next? I totally forgot.
It's me.
Okay.
Yeah. We only have one more comment from the community post. And yeah, so just another reminder as well, if you have any thoughts on chapters as they release every Sunday, be sure to keep an eye out for community posts the morning of if you want to get your thoughts out and be potentially read on the show.
Also on Twitter now, too.
Also on Twitter now, yeah. Be sure to go give that a follow for audio listeners, especially if you're not watching the YouTube versions. So, yeah, last comment from the community post from YouTube is Strep to Beep, saying, it will be very interesting to see how Halkenburg's ability will work in detail in later chapters. Is Balls dead? Can Halkenburg come back to his original body? Will he be able to use his Nen ability in Balls' body? There will be so many interesting interactions for sure. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. It's
also,
all
what
really
is Balls' Nen ability is another question.
Yeah, we don't know that, do we? Yeah.
No. I assume he has to have one. There's no way he doesn't, but yeah, we do not know it.
Interesting things to think about.
Indeed.
Okay. So next up, we have comments from the prior YouTube video version of the last episode. Just a couple of highlights that we wanted to talk about. May or may not be related to the last episode specifically, last chapter. First up, we got from New to Haven, saying, Tyson is seen as a joke, but her book has to be read by someone very important in order to make things interesting. It's funny how Beyond was asking for something to read too. I didn't think about the fact that maybe Beyond gets given Tyson's book. That'd be a weird thing to happen.
Well, they're definitely not going to give him a book, but that if somehow he does get a hold of that, that would be hilarious. That would be quite the turn to take.
It's an amusing thing kind of to think about.
I do agree, though, that somebody important will and probably should read it before Tyson is like removed from the story. I think that would be a pretty
I think it would be, definitely, yeah. It would be a bit of a... I feel like it's been given a bit of attention that will pay off into something. Not like Zhang Lei levels with his ability, but it is something I'm just interested in. I would be a bit disappointed if it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, we also need to see like the consequences for breaking like the personal rule too. We haven't seen that yet.
Mm-hmm. So this next comment, I really just wanted to highlight because this guy might have had a premonition with making this comment, saying Halkenburg. Shirakaga says Halkenburg falling ill might be him using his ability on himself and change bodies before Balls kills him. They mentioned a rumbling too. With this way, maybe Halkenburg would have had a chance to withdraw from the war. If it's possible, then he could use it on lower-ranked princes too. Their marks should appear quickly, since Halkenburg is a symbol of hope for lower-ranked princes, so that wouldn't be a problem.
We got Nostradamus in our audience.
Shout out Shirokage. Do you guys think the announcement in 400 is Halkenburg falling ill? Or do you think it's something else? Because the announcement of 400 has just been kind of ignored. The one we saw for... It was Tier 5. It was Finks and Nobunaga, where there was an announcement, some sad news, we have an urgent announcement.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, because that would be around the same time, huh?
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. I feel like it could be.
Unless it's something that hasn't happened yet. Like, what? Do we know what time that scene happened?
The Nobunaga...
when they're talking.
I'll check.
Okay. Yeah, it could be that, though. Assuming I'm remembering it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
I think it was, to be honest, I feel like it was day 10, unless Togashi just didn't tell us, because there is no timestamps for this. Okay. I've gone through 398, 399, but like we were in day 10 from like 389. We were there for a while. So I feel like if this was day 11, he would have shown it somewhere. But unless he just kept it completely ambiguous, because there's none. There's from the end of the flashback until chapter 401, there aren't any timestamps.
Okay.
Updates in time.
Okay.
All right. So
at least not that any that I can see. Yeah.
Okay. Still an interesting thing to think about, though.
It definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, you're a prophet, though, thinking about, using himself to change his own body. That's, good stuff.
Yeah.
Next, we have Green saying, I know that Benjamin isn't a good man and that he's planning to use his corrupt influence to inflict the whale under martial law the moment is convenient to him, but wasn't he surprisingly gentle to poor Fugetsu this chapter? Maybe it's just me, but he doesn't seem to care for Fugetsu. Doesn't he seem to care for Fugetsu as his little sister? He seemed like he had a kind heart, even if he was spewing something of a deception. After all, at least unlike Loserus, he was like, wow, your sister died, without a shred of kindness in his heart, while Benjamin looked at her basically going, the poor girl is wrecking herself. These spirits will curse her to death at this rate, and the such. It makes Loserus look like a scumbag, and Benjamin look like a sweetheart by comparison.
Yeah, I guess it kind of does. Huh? Yeah, that was definitely something. I think we talked about that briefly at the beginning of the episode, too, just how Benjamin was a little kind of out of character, seemingly, in the last chapter.
Yeah, he was being really nice, and the fact that he was so stressed with this whole Balsa stuff makes that even more interesting.
Yeah.
But like obviously he is doing it for his personal gain in some front because of the Kaige stuff and just the Justice Bureau trying to build a relationship. But still, we're seeing monologue from him, like his own internal thoughts where he's feeling bad for Fugetsu. So that's damning evidence, I'd say, that he's behaving differently there than what we're used to, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
There seems to be some sort of a soft spot within his cold heart. Whether how big it is remains to really be seen, I guess. But there is something there, and it is interesting to really point out and kind of discuss.
Yes.
And then final comment before Kaige has a really long comment from elsewhere is from Jesus saying, "Great
Welcome,
episode,
Jesus. Great to have you on."
Great episode. A few thoughts I had about chapter 402 is that Kaiser really wants that melody, and he is being manipulated by the Gyat Melody is carrying around. He has El Riz though, so maybe that's what's making Melody so uneasy about him. I really hope you got a kick out of hearing me say all that.
I know I
did. But seriously though, I'm not sure who could possibly be controlling Kaiser. I highly doubt it, but it would be cool if it was Halkenburg in some way. Well, I don't know about that anymore. But I found that quote of his of not being able to be in the better world so intriguing because it's a really good dialogue that seems interesting to give to Kaiser. And I'm not on board with Losers being the one to be attacking Fugetsu. the rules clearly state that Guardian and Beast cannot attack other princes. It would be so strange to have him physically damage and put a curse-like attack on what and it not just be counted as an attack and rather something else. Maybe it's bending the rules, but I doubt it. Could it be Kaige trying to find a way to eliminate a prince? Go ahead.
So I was gonna say Kaige is super sus.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That hasn't been eliminated even from like this chapter and the prior couple chapters.
No.
Yeah.
There is suspicion still around him.
If anything, I'd say this chapter might have even exceeded it a bit, because he was kind of like being two-faced with Steiner, even where he's thinking something and says something different.
Yeah.
Let me find the exact page, but yeah.
He was like, it wasn't one of the dialogues like he was like, this can't be a coincidence, but then just immediately after he was like, could it be a coincidence?
Yeah. Yep, that can't be explained by coincidence. And then he says it wasn't a coincidence rhetorically, like, huh? Yeah, so he's definitely the guy's suspect, man.
Like, that's somebody he's working alongside with technically in the Justice Bureau. Like, there's ulterior motives there. We just don't know to what extent.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely someone we got to pay attention to. Obviously, we all are, but that is like I think a wildly important character going forward.
Super, definitely, yeah. And he just kind of not out of nowhere, but he just popped up, kind of just crept up on us. Yeah.
Good stuff to think about. And Kaige, I believe you have a very long comment now that you really wanted to read on the show, right?
So this is pretty cool. It is long. Bear with me. So this is from Jordan Corgatelli. Hopefully I said that somewhat correctly. So Dylan, if you recall, this is the same guy who wrote in about the theory about Jonas the Dissector being a victim of Hellbow. It's a little, he didn't have much evidence going with it, but we thought that was a pretty fun idea.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see him write in again.
Jonas the Dissector. Is that the guy who Killua's heart?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yep.
It was a very fun theory to read.
Yeah, it was cool. So, he says, the Hunter exams were designed to prepare the Hunter Association for the Dark Continent. I know this doesn't have anything to do with Chapter 403, but I really want your thoughts on it, so we will give them to you. A while back, I had a thought about a cool connection that the Hunter exams had to the Dark Continent, and upon further consideration, I've realized that there's so much more to this than I initially thought. My belief is that since before the beginning of the series, Netero has been planning to send the Zodiacs to the Dark Continent, and that Periston has been working with Beyond. With those assumptions in mind, it becomes obvious that the Hunter exams are designed with an expedition to the Dark Continent in mind. Let's start with the pre-exams. Aspiring hunters are given misdirection and forced to participate in a series of tests to even get to the first stage of the hunter exams, with everyone involved being able to arbitrarily eliminate candidates based on any sign of weakness. This helps prepare the candidate for the many steps it takes to get to the Dark Continent, such as the contract with the gatekeepers and navigating the bureaucracy of the V5. The pre-exams also include the involvement of magical beasts, something that is quite rare in the human world, but are everywhere in the Dark Continent. It would make sense that Netero wants to use creatures that possibly originate from the Dark Continent as means of testing candidates, as they are better equipped to look for important traits that most humans would miss. The first stage of the exam is an ultramarathon that eliminates anyone who is anything less than peak physical condition. Since the Dark Continent is freaking massive and its terrain is impossible to predict, having a good mobility without depending on vehicles is critical. The Swindler's Swamp segment probably also reflects what it is like to navigate the Dark Continent, with monsters catching people off guard from every direction. Perhaps this area isn't naturally occurring, but is actually designed from the group up by Netero using his experiences in the Dark Continent as inspiration. The second stage involves hunting wildlife and cooking a good meal out of it. This tests people's ability to both survive in the wilderness and to thrive in it. If you cannot put the resources of the Dark Continent to good use, then going there is pointless. One thing I do want to point out about that, isn't the cooking thing only in the anime, or am I misremembering that completely?
I wouldn't know. I'm not the one to ask there.
I might be completely misremembering that.
I think it is. I just think it's a lot quicker. I'm pretty sure it is in the manga too.
Okay. Well, never mind then.
Yeah.
Which is why they travel there. Which is why travel there has been banned. Every expedition that has returned brought back a calamity, but we have not seen any evidence of the treasures that could improve human life being brought back. This phase is intended to condition candidates into a mindset that will make the next voyage a success due to an ability to think beyond pure survival. The third stage has different trials for everyone. No two paths through the tower are identical, reflecting how wild and varied each region of the Dark Continent is. The path we get to see the most of is the path of the majority rules. This path is designed to break the team that takes it. When expeditions encounter hardship, the team members will often turn to each other and do things like resort to cannibalism. This tests a team ability to remain united and punishes them for failing to do so. Also, we get to the thought that triggered this whole thing. I think that Jonas, the dissector, is a victim of the Hellbell snake from the Dark Continent. Using the dangerous victims of the calamities as testing fodder for the exams makes a ton of sense if these exams are looking for potential members of an expedition. The fourth stage forces people to use their surroundings to their advantage as they hunt a target while being hunted at the same time. The potential applications of these skills to the Dark Continent are obvious. The fifth and final stage has the rule that you cannot defeat your opponent through strength alone. This is directly influenced by Netero, who stated that there is no victory to be had in the Dark Continent. Expedition members cannot go there expecting to survive through winning fights. The fifth stage makes it into a contest of willpower, a trait that is critical to surviving the Dark Continent. Then there's the secret stage of the exams, learning Nen. In order to pass this stage, you have to discover something that is being kept secret from the public, adapt to the new reality, and use that knowledge to grow stronger. Passing the secret stage helps prepare hunters to eventually discover the other bigger secret, the Dark Continent. This also conditions hunters to have curiosity and desire to go to the Dark Continent. Due to the growth each of them experiences in their journeys into becoming Nen users, Jing is a pretty obvious example of this system working as intended. Now the thing that has thrown a wrench into this whole system are the Khmer ants. Netero's death in battle to Meruem has caused the Dark Continent expedition to happen much sooner than Netero intended. Part of the design of the Hunter exams was to give Netero strong opponents, and Netero was probably making it more and more difficult each year until someone strong enough to defeat him in combat was found. Netero probably planned to die in battle to another Hunter and believed that when this finally happened, the Hunter Association would be strong enough to stop Beyond's plans and then be able to have a successful Dark Continent expedition. Since he died to Meruem, his plan to strengthen the Hunter Association was unable to come to fruition, which has led to Beyond's plan working, and the Kakin Empire now controls the expedition instead of the Hunter Association. And they are on their way to the Dark Continent with a ship full of people that would have never been allowed to take part in any expedition that Netero planned for. So,
okay.
Very long, but very good. I really, really like this theory. This is really good stuff you thought of here. The one thing that immediately came to mind after reading this, though, is if this does turn out to be the case, I 100% do not think Togashi had that in mind when he wrote this arc. There's just no chance. But it would be a really good example of retroactive continuity. And I think a lot of what you're saying lines up really well, and I could totally see it being the case.
I think it could also just be, like, even if this theory isn't correct per se, it can also, like, it does apply thematically because of what the Dark Continent represents. I think the world of hunters within the normal world is kind of like a world within a world. It's like a supernatural world, and all those things that they're exploring through the Hunter exam is preparing you for the world of Nen and the world of hunters. And Dark Continent is the same thing, but taking it up a notch. Like the same thing conceptually, at least. So I really like this, and I think most of it applies even beyond theory crafting. I think a lot of this is just looking at how the Dark Continent is basically the glory destination for a hunter. It kind of represents the hunt to the fullest. So yeah, I really like this, and I guess one cool thing about this theory is that it ties into the other very popular theory that Beyond is responsible for the Chimera ants.
Yes, exactly.
So there is overlap there, and it would make a lot of sense, for sure.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Dylan.
No, I was just gonna say I agree completely with it being like thematically relevant to the Dark Continent in general, how that would tie into that. But also just, again, it kind of props up the whole idea of just like the Netero Beyond conflict that is theorized to have like happened or be like a big part of like why Chimera ants happened in the first place, and just Netero's wishes in general to stop Beyond as well. A lot of it makes sense, and I'm very much a someone who supports theories that make a lot of sense in whether thematically or systematically. So I really like this. This was a really good listen to get a new perspective on that and what Togashi. I agree with you, Kaige. I think that like Togashi definitely probably didn't have this in mind when writing the Hunter exams, but that would be a nice way to kind of like tie it back around again.
Yeah, it just works so well, like especially just knowing who Isaac Netero was, and the way the Hunter exams were under his reign, whatever you want to call that. That's definitely not the right word, but his time as the chairman. I think it's definitely a good connection to point out, because it just makes sense. I don't know. I really don't have many objections to this theory. It's really solid.
Yeah, I think like given the fact that we're clearly having people's like a lot of people have been working towards things for decades. Like we've got that whole that forward quote we had is come up. Beyond said it, and obviously Jing also said it. It's permission, the means, qualifications, a contract. The 4 things you need to get started with your hunt, basically. Beyond had to get that in order for the Dark Continent to happen. We've got like Jing trying to make that happen for his own desire to go to the Dark Continent, but Beyond's also been scheming and plotting for the Succession War and his ulterior motive surrounding that. So he's got plans for the journey towards the Dark Continent, let alone getting there itself. And so thinking like obviously someone like Netero, who is as esteemed and accomplished as he is, and as influential and significant in the world as he was, obviously he probably had a lot of things in motion and plans for the future and things for when he would die. It's not like he was just chilling doing nothing. I don't think that's the case. Like he literally had videotapes ready the second he died saying, yo, my son's around, you're gonna have to deal with him. So it's something he was expecting. To be fair, you could read that in the opposite way and see, let's say, like he was a douchebag who just left everyone with his problems. You could read it that way, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I do think he was prepared for this to some extent. And that's why I think Jing being part of the Beyond Association is so important, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's carrying out Netero's will in a way, and like trying to make sure that Beyond doesn't do anything and that would tarnish like Netero's legacy or something Netero wouldn't want to happen. He's obviously there to keep an eye on Pariston, but I think he's also, I think in general Jing and Beyond are characters that will conflict just naturally based on who they both are, but like they're so similar yet so different. And I think that is like they're very similar in the like in philosophically I'd say they're similar in terms of what they believe in the hunt, but the people they are morally is very different. Like we've seen Beyond, even just down to like how they're both fathers and treat their children. Like Jing might not be around, but he's not turning his children into curses.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, you could say, is Adult gonna curse? That is Jing's fault. So
yeah.
Oh man. That's debatable.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I like where your head's at on that though. That's a good thought.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing about Hunter x Hunter. It's just like looking at characters who might have like never met or had a single interaction on screen, yet they're still so connected. Like I'm reading a Saradnik scene and I'm thinking of Netero or Meruem or something. Like it's so dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. I know. It's so cool.
Yeah,
and obviously
sure.
the key example of that is Gon and Meruem, that whole arc. Just it's so incredible. Togashi's amazing at that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much for this comment, Jordan. I hope viewers enjoyed that as well. I think that is a really interesting theory, and I'm glad I got to talk about it here.
Yeah, this was a great one.
All right. So, any final thoughts, anybody, before we start rounding off the show?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Nothing specific. I just want to say, I hope Fugetsu gets well soon, man.
Yes. I can agree with that.
Struggling. She is struggling.
Dude, she looked rough, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm also just never gonna get over Kacho being around in this capacity. Like, it creeps me out.
It's surreal.
Very weird. She's present but not present. It's
it's
so weird. But yeah,
I wonder if anything will come of that, like beyond just it being the case. Like, will there be anything deeper with the Kacho Nen Beast?
I mean, others can see it, right? So I feel like it could be used in some significant ways. Like they could do a fake reveal of her still being alive, quote unquote.
That could be big.
They could do a lot with it, I think. I'm not convinced that Lazarus has anything to do with Fugetsu's condition. But we'll see on that front. I feel like just Fugetsu, Kacho, they've been given so much that I feel like the story could move away from them soon, depending where things pay off.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I don't want Fugetsu to die, but it's in the cards, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not looking good, to say the least.
Yeah. And I guess in that case, losing Fugetsu would probably mean losing Kacho as well again.
Yeah.
I would imagine she would disappear if Fugetsu were to die. Yeah.
There are some weird things like around Fugetsu. I mean, I feel like maybe just because we haven't had her Nen fully like her guardian spirit beast fully explained to us, but she needs to have been to the place in order to use the door to get there.
Well, she showed up. It used to work. Now, as of last chapter, you can just. Or wait, no, sorry. That's I got it in reverse. That's how it works now.
Yeah. That's how it works now. So do you think like what was it like? Am I forgetting something? Was it like nerfed or?
It was buffed technically because when it was introduced, or no, I guess it was nerfed. Sorry, I keep getting them mixed up. When it was introduced. Or wait, hold on. My brain is messed up. Wait, so what? How does it work now? Just she has to have been there.
She has to have been there. She has to have been there now. And I think before she got to tier 3 somehow.
Yeah. Before there was no rule about having to have been to the location.
We don't hear the rule, but at the same time, I don't know if we could say before there was no rule because we don't know if that's how she got to tier 3. I feel like that might just be a mystery where she showed up to tier 3, maybe not through her beast. It could have been differently. Like the natural assumption is that it was her beast, but this rule has now been introduced. So thinking back, maybe she got to there differently. Like we don't know exactly how it works unless she was nerfed somehow thanks to the Kacho beast and how they're like one, like these two, their Nen beasts are practically interlinked and connected. I don't know. I feel like there's something there that we're building up to. There are some like suspicious things surrounding Fugetsu. I think will hopefully lead somewhere interesting.
Yeah. So I just looked also, by the way. So the explanation of it just being able to go anywhere without having to have been there comes from when she was explaining how the game they played as kids worked. So I guess we had just been assuming this whole time that the rules of her Nen Beast were the same as the game, but I guess it's not.
Okay, interesting. Unless it's something. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting.
It is.
I don't want to get too deep into the theory crafting, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
interesting thing to think about.
For sure.
All right. So with that, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow us now on Twitter at TXHXAPod for updates on the show. As always, we'll be here at the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Radman, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure. This was so much fun.
Yeah, for sure.
What all do you want to plug?
Thank you. I'll plug. You can find me at Radman. But more than anything, it's just a pleasure to be here. This was a great discussion. It was a lot of fun, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. This was a great episode. Great discussions in today's. So you were a pleasure to have on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, future Kaige in editing here. Just wanted to come in and say Radman was being humble and didn't really plug anything here in this moment, but I wanted to say, like, make sure you follow him on Twitter and check out his YouTube channel. He does really great video essay style things, a lot about Hunter x Hunter, obviously. That's why we got him on the show. Very, very, very good videos. I just recently started watching a lot of them after, we were starting to talk about getting him on the show, and amazing stuff. Please check it out. And his Twitter account's a really great follow too, especially if you're into older anime. If you grew up with anime, he tweets a lot about classic, Naruto, Bleach, all that kind of stuff, the big three. So yeah, check him out on all that stuff. All right, and Dylan, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGEN. Granted, I'm also trying to be more active on Blue Sky as of right now because Twitter is dumb. So it's same handle there, though. It's pretty much the same profile that you would find on Twitter. So you could find me pretty easily there as well if you're interested.
Yep, and you can also find me on Twitter at Kaige10, that's KAIIGE10, and again, I am also on Blue Skies, trying to be a little more active on there as well, just in case the ship sinks soon.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching again, and we'll be back next week with Chapter 404 with, I think, another guest. No promises exactly on this one, because we might have a little bit of complications with that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, and see you next week.
Peace.